Hello everyone. Today's video we are going to talk about import statements within Python. Just like any programming language would have require or import or anything to import libraries or other let's say header files or whatnot. Similarly, Python uses import to import the code that's written in different files. Primarily, this could be used to import the modules which are built in within Python. You could use that just like a math library, we could import it. And then we could also do a code segregation. So let's say we don't want to write a code in one file. There are different files where we put some code which is more relevant and then try to import those code or classes or whatnot using Python. So let's not waste time on more on this. We already know what's the basic function of an import, and let's try to use it within Python. So in order to use import statement or import the code that's written in other files, the first thing what we need to do is let's create a file where we write some code or whatnot, and then we'll try to use that code within this demo.py. So I'm gonna create a new text file, and let's say I'm gonna create, for example, pi is equal to 3.14. That's my value. This is 1. And then I'm gonna create a function, let's say test function, and this just prints this is a test function written in other file, right? So that's one. And then I can write another function, let's say display name, something like this, and we'll just simply say print this is a display function written in other file. Now fundamentally we have three things, and before that let's try to save it. I'm gonna save it within the same place where my functions or where my demo file is there. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna create a new file, my functions.py, and then I'm just gonna save it in the same place within the same place. Let's say let's try and see whether we are saving it at the same place. No. Yes, so you have my functions and you have a demo, right? So both are at the same folder. Of course you could put it into different folders, that's not a problem, but we are saving it over at the same place so that we could easily import it and then try using functions. Now fundamentally this my functions has three things. One is the value of pi, one is the test function, and one is a display function. So three things, but I've written in a separate file, not written in within the demo.py. So it's just a kind of a library of my code which I want to reuse, or code segregation, or segregation of concerns, which we normally do it in software engineering principles. So let's go on to the demo.py, and in order to use all that stuff what was written in my functions, there are three different ways we could use. The first one is I'm gonna use, this is my first way of importing. So let's say I'm gonna import, let's say import, and then I'll just simply say my functions. Okay, so once I import my functions, because it is in the same place, same folder, same level, so I'm just gonna use my my functions. And then what I'm gonna do is let's say we just want to print the value of pi. So what we can do is the value of pi defined in my functions. Let's say we'll just do that, and I'll say my functions, because that's what I'm importing it, and dot I can say pi. So let's try it out, and I'll just put f over here. It's a f string, and let's say if I try to run this, and so yeah, so it just gives me the value of pi defined in my functions as 3.14. Okay, I can even call a function. So let's say just calling a function that's defined in a separate file. So how you gonna do that is, so you just simply say my functions dot, and then you just simply say test. So test is your function. So you run this. So yep, this is a test function written in our other file. And similarly, you could call your other functions also. Let's say display function, which was there. So two functions we defined, the test and display, and then the value of pi. So we are utilizing them. And then if I run it now, run this, so I'll get three different things: the value of pi, the test function, and then the display function. So that's first way of doing the things. Now the other way is, I'm just gonna close this. Now you could actually import it in this way also. So second way of importing is technically like this. So you say import my functions as, let's say, mf, my functions. So it means I'm technically giving it as a kind of an alias name, like just importing as alias name. So that's what I'm trying to do. And when I try to import it as an alias name, so what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna use the alias name to call those functions. So let's say if I just want to print the value of, okay, let's just try to copy that rather than writing it. I'm just gonna copy that, paste it over here. So this is the first one. So print, rather than my functions, I'll just use mf. And over here, rather than my functions, I'll just use mf. And then I just don't need this. There's a test function. So copy this and paste it. So that looks fine. So let's try running these things, and then we'll see. When you run this, of course, you get the same thing. So the first way was just importing the file without any alias name. The second one is importing it with the help of an alias name. And the third one is, you could also import some specific functions which you want to import, because my functions has three different things: pi, test, and display. So by default, they import everything. But if I want to import a specific one, or let's say all, I could use it in a third way also. So let's say this is the third way of importing. And importing means all. And fundamentally, even in this place, this was imported as all. But here, what I'm going to do, I'll say from, let's say, my functions. And then what you want to do, I'll just simply want to do import, let's say, display. Okay, so I'll just use this. Now this is another way of doing the things. So from this, import that. So let's say before importing even one, I could just use a star. Now star means I'm importing everything from my function. So it means I'm importing technically the pi value, the display, and even the test function. So what I can do, just simply copy that. And in order to test this, let's copy this line, paste it over here. And if you see, this would exactly give you the same thing. That's no difference around there, right? So you say my functions, and you just try to run this now. Oh, my functions is not defined. Okay, so from it should, oh sorry, I'm just using this one. So you don't need a star, the alias name or anything, because you're importing everything. So everything is available over here by just as a pi. So when you run this, so it just gives the value of pi defined as this. This looks fine. And the last way of importing is, I just want to import only a specific function, or let's say two things or one thing. So I could use it in this way. So fourth way of importing specific things. So now in order to import that, so what I can do, my functions import, and I could just, let's say pi, I need pi, and I need a test function. So it means I am not importing the display function. So if you see, I have pi, test, and display. But what I'm trying to do, I'm importing specific things. So I'm importing pi and importing test. So if I want to run this, so let's say copy this and paste it around here. So this should give the pi, and even I could use, let's say the test function. So that's all. So if I try to run this, so you get both of the cases, pi is defined and function is written. So I hope guys, this is how you could use import within Python by using 3 different ways, rather 4 different ways. So you could import as a normal one, you could import with an alias name or an alias name. You could also import with all, like everything you want to import with star, or if you want to import some specific, let's say variables or functions, you have the flexibility of doing so. This is going to be helpful to you, I know, because you are not going to work on one single file. There are multiple files when you work, and all those files are meant for different purposes, for code separation, for different things, and you naturally try to import it within other main files. I'll be back with more videos, guys. So please stay tuned, and wish you all the best. Thank you.